All right, let's pour a couple of glasses. Today, we're diving deep into two of the world's most legendary spirits. One starts its life out in a field, the other in a vineyard. This is the incredible story of whiskey and brandy.
So let's get right into it. You've seen them both, right? Sitting there in a glass, looking all rich and amber. But I promise you, beyond that color, they are worlds apart. We're talking completely different drinks with their own unique histories, their own science, and whole cultures built around them. So what actually sets them apart?
To really get the answer, we have to go way back. Because you see, both of these spirits share a common ancestor, the ancient art of distillation. But right from the starting line, they take two completely different paths, and it all comes down to the most basic thing you can think of, what they're made from.
Okay, first up, whiskey. At its heart, whiskey is basically liquid grain. It's the spirit of the harvest, you know? It captures the essence of things like barley, corn, rye, or wheat. Its entire soul, its whole identity, starts right there, in a farmer's field. And then you've got brandy. Brandy's journey doesn't start in a field of grain, but in an orchard or a vineyard. It's distilled from fruit, most famously, grapes. I mean, its name even tells the whole story. It comes from the Dutch for burnt wine, which is exactly what it is. Wine, concentrated and totally transformed by heat.
Now this is where it gets really cool, because this slide breaks down a huge chemical difference in a super simple way. Think about it. The sugars in fruit are easy. They're just sitting there, ready for yeast to turn them into alcohol. But with grain, all that energy is locked up inside as starch. To make whiskey, you have to play the part of a magician and figure out how to unlock those starches and turn them into simple sugars that yeast can actually eat.
So let's take a look at how that one single difference, grain versus fruit, ends up controlling every single step of how these drinks are made. It literally shapes their personality from the very beginning.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. Look at the whiskey side. You've got that extra, super important step called mashing. That's where you trick the grain into turning its starches into sugar. What you get is this sugary liquid called a wash. It's basically beer, just without the hops. Now, look at brandy. It gets to skip that whole process. It starts with fruit juice that ferments straight into wine, and boom, it's ready for the still.
So after distillation, both spirits are pretty much clear, really strong, and honestly, not all that tasty. The real magic? That happens while they're sleeping in a barrel. The time spent in oak isn't just about storing it. It's a slow-motion chemical reaction that gives the spirit up to 80% of its final flavor, its smell, and its color. The barrel isn't just a container, it's an ingredient.
And this right here shows two totally different ways of thinking about aging. In the US, the law says bourbon has to be aged in brand new charred oak barrels. That char acts like a flamethrower, caramelizing the wood and blasting the spirit with these big, bold flavors of vanilla and toffee. Cognac, on the other hand, uses French oak, which is way more subtle. It gently whispers hints of spice and nuts into the spirit, making sure that the original fruity flavor is still the main event.
So you take these totally unique journeys from the farm to the barrel, and then you mix in centuries of history, global trade, and even the law. And that's how you get the iconic spirits that we all know and love today.
And you can actually see their stories unfold side by side. Whiskey, the water of life, got its start in the quiet monasteries of Ireland and Scotland. Brandy, well, it was a totally practical invention, born out of the chaos of sea trade, a way for Dutch sailors to make their wine last on long trips. And over hundreds of years, both went from being these rough, homemade drinks to massive global industries, thanks to huge milestones like the first official distilleries and game-changing tech like the continuous still.
Now, this history and this heritage is so important, it's actually protected by law. It's called a geographical indication, or a GI. Think of it like a copyright, but for a place. It's a guarantee that what you're drinking comes from a specific part of the world and was made following a very specific rule book.
And believe me, these names carry some serious weight. This isn't just marketing. Scotch can only come from Scotland, period. Bourbon is legally protected as a product of the United States, and you can't have cognac without the Cognac region in France. These laws make sure that when you pick up a bottle, you're getting a real, authentic taste of that place's history and its craft.
So we've looked at the traditions, which are incredibly deep. But how are these ancient spirits dealing with the pressures and the opportunities of the 21st century?
First off, let's just talk about the sheer scale here. The global spirits market is gigantic. We're talking a projected worth of over $650 billion. That's a mind-boggling number. So yeah, whiskey and brandy aren't just drinks. They are massive economic forces. And in that huge global market, different places like different things. Just look at this chart. North America is a total whiskey stronghold. It's got almost a third of that market cornered. But then if you jump over to the Asia-Pacific market, you see India driving enormous whiskey sales, while in China, which makes up over 41% of the region's share, there's this deep, deep love for high-end cognac.
But being successful in this business is incredibly tough. I love this quote from the legendary distiller Booker No because it just nails the problem. To make spirits that need to age, you have to spend a ton of money up front and then wait, sometimes for decades, basically betting on what people will want to drink years and years from now. It's a huge gamble, and it can lead to massive problems, like having way too much inventory, which is a real issue the industry is facing right now.
And that brings us to the biggest question of all. We're living in a world with a changing climate that's messing with crops and with customers who care more and more about things like sustainability. So how do these ancient traditions manage to evolve without completely losing who they are?
Well, the answer is this incredible wave of green innovation. The industry is literally rethinking everything. You've got distilleries putting in special boilers that run on their own leftover waste. They're creating closed-loop water systems that just recycle the same water over and over again. And it's not just about the liquid. They're even making the glass bottles lighter to be more eco-friendly. It's a total top-to-bottom transformation.
Which leaves us with this final thought. The next time you have a glass of whiskey or brandy in your hand, remember you're holding a story of the past. But its future, well, that's being written right now. So, will that future be defined by holding on tight to tradition or by a brave new world of transformation? The truth is, it's probably going to be a perfect blend of both.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.